Hello, 11th graders. Today we're going to be reviewing the instructions for the first part of the unit activity in Unit 1, which is composing a letter, which is associated with the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. So we're looking at cause and effect. We're looking at how these documents can lead to other documents, other primary source documents in the formation of a country. So we have the Declaration of Independence, which took place in 1776 when we officially declared independence from Great Britain and became our own country. And that then led to a lot of the foundational ideas that were presented in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the amendments, which were written in 1789. So about 13 years later, we see that the Bill of Rights reflects a lot of the ideas that were established in the Declaration of Independence earlier on. So initially, we have this list of grievances against King George, and those are reasons as to why we no longer want to be a part of Great Britain. And we can see how those reasons and that justification then comes into what we construct as the Bill of Rights and the amendments that we want to see as governing principles in our country later on. So the Bill of Rights is seen as a preventative measure to guard the government from taking power away from the people, like King George was represented as doing earlier on. So the first part of this assignment is looking at that cause and effect, really looking at these two documents and seeing how the Declaration of Independence is then related to the same ideas in the Bill of Rights. So there are two videos here. We see the Declaration of Independence video and the Bill of Rights video. They're relatively short, they're under 10 minutes, so watch those videos because they're going to give you a greater sense of the purpose of those documents and the historical background in terms of what led up to the creation of the Declaration of Independence. So your first task, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to look at these grievances, these four grievances which come out of the Declaration of Independence, and you're going to match three of them with then ideas that are listed in the Bill of Rights, which come 13 years later. So there are only three matches. There are four. There's one in there to throw you off. So find three that match. After you've found three grievances and amendments that match, you're going to copy and paste them into this chart here. So here's the grievance I found, and I believe that this matches with this amendment. Then you're going to give a brief explanation. So it's going to be two sentences where, and you can see this sentence in the example is pretty long, but that's just establishing that I understand the historical background because I watched those videos. And so you can have longer sentences. You want to analyze the language and you want to show that you understand the historical background as to that foundational grievance and then that amendment that comes after. So look at the example and then make sure that your explanation includes a couple of sentences. The next thing of the letter is part B. And so you're going to take this document that was very persuasive, the Declaration of Independence, and you are going to write a response to that, also persuasive response. And so you're going to be utilizing rhetoric. Persuasive writing utilizes rhetoric. So you can click on this link here, and that will give you some of the ideas about what to include in rhetorical writing, which is just a fancy word for persuasive writing. So you're going to imagine that you're a colonist and that you are either a loyalist or a patriot in one of the original 13 colonies. And then you're looking at those grievances listed in the Declaration of Independence against King George. So we're imagining as though the Declaration of Independence has just come out, and so this is your response to this. And so there are two separate sides of American colonists. We have the patriots who support the revolution and are behind that. They're called patriots. And then we have the loyalists who are loyal to the British Crown and believe that revolution is treason against the king and against the crown. So the vast majority of colonists would have been patriots. Only about 20% of the colonists would have been loyalists, and they have different reasons as to why they would have been loyal to the king. So those two links here, a loyalist or a patriot, and then this other link, patriots versus loyalists, give you more information so that you can determine which perspective you want to write on. But it's important that you develop a clear stance. So if you're a patriot, you're a patriot throughout the letter. If you're a loyalist, you're a loyalist throughout the letter. Okay, so paragraph 1, there's just going to be 2 paragraphs in this letter. And you're going to, like I said, make sure that you develop a clear stance. You're either on one side or the other. You're not on both sides. So you're either for or against the grievances out of the Declaration of Independence. And so after you've developed your stance, whether you're a patriot or a loyalist, you then analyze the 2 grievances and you support your claim. So if you've claimed that the Declaration of Independence was a good idea, it was a good idea to revolt against King George, then you're going to support that with 2 grievances listed in the Declaration of Independence. If you're claiming that you're a loyalist and the patriots are, committing treason, you're going to address the patriots' side, but then you're going to develop a counter argument to support your original stance. So that's really important in persuasive writing. You keep to your side throughout the letter, but you look at the other side and you say, I know that you think this, but here is my counter argument to what you think. So it's really important to include those 3 features in whichever side you're on. Okay, so the second paragraph is going to be covering what you envision out of this new country. We've just declared independence from Great Britain, and so what do you expect out of this new nation? How do you want to see that your country is different from what you've seen King George do in the colonies? So we're making a new nation, and you're going to request some demands. You're going to say, this is what I expect. If we're going to break from Great Britain, then we're going to need to be different. And so what do you expect of this new nation? What changes would you like to see? And what protections should be implemented in the forms of laws and policies? So you can actually take some of the amendments that are written in the Bill of Rights, those governing principles that are actually written 13 years later in the Bill of Rights, and you can utilize those as suggestions. Keep in mind, so we're pretending as though it's 1776, so the Bill of Rights hasn't been written yet. You can pretend as though those ideas that you have access to now are your ideas. And so when you're a colonist and you're writing from either the loyalist or patriot perspective, you're using those ideas that come later as though they're your own. So you're saying, oh, I think these amendments would be a really good idea to include in the laws and policies of our country. Okay. And then just to keep in mind, this is an alternative to the assignment that's listed in an amendment. So you can do that assignment that's listed in an amendment, or you can do this one. All right. Have a nice day. Thanks.